Okay, in this video I'm going to show you the basics, how to animate for the new bones that Project Bento is adding to the avatar skeleton in Second Life. Okay, and as many of you know, I'm still working with the group, with the Bento group, but that I was in the Bento group from pretty much just about the beginning of the group. So I have a lot of experience with the new bones since I helped to create them, along with many other people and input and all that kind of stuff. Alrighty. So first thing you need to do is hopefully you have the latest version of MayaStar, which is 4.5, and I think actually it's 4.51 is the very latest version as far as when I'm making this video. So you want to make sure you have the newest version. Let's see. So how do we start? Okay. When you click on the MayaStar, you come here to activate avatars. Now, normally you have to activate a female or male avatar first before you animate anything. So normally if you're going to be animating a regular male or female avatar, you would activate male or female first to get the avatar, and then you would come back, and after the avatar was appeared, you would then come back and you would animate female or animate male. But because the Bento skeleton bones are a completely different skeleton and are not officially adopted by Linden Lab yet for the main grid, it's only right now, as I'm making this video, the Bento skeleton bones, the new bones that they're adding, are only available on the beta test grid called Addity. Can't even say it right. And you can only upload animations with those bones using the official Bento test viewer. So anyway, okay, so on to it. So that's what these two are down here. One's the Bento skeleton, which is just to rig to. So if you were making a mesh and you want to rig it, that's the skeleton that you do. If you want to make animations, or animations for that mesh, you would then want to use the Bento animation rig. So what I would suggest too is rig it first to the Bento skeleton, and then save your weights and detach the skin from the skeleton, and then come back here and delete the skeleton. You want to export out your weights using something like Dora skin weights, and so that you save your weights, and then to animate it, and then save a copy of it before you delete the skeleton. Then delete the skeleton, and then come back in here and then activate the Bento animation rig. Okay, so you notice that we get another avatar. Now this avatar was provided by Matrice, who made the and Gaia, who owns Avastar. Matrice works with Gaia and is on the Avastar team. They were kind enough to allow me to add this Bento Angel to MayaStar to provide with everybody to practice animating and stuff. Okay, so one of the things you'll notice is that there's all these little sort of weird balls on her, around her. Those are to control the animation, or to help make it easier to make animations. They're the control rig. First thing I would probably do is come up here and turn off joint selection and turn off mesh selection, so that when you click on, when you're trying to click on, say, the wrist controller here, or the hand wrist controller here, you don't accidentally click on a bone or on the avatar mesh itself. So it makes it easier to select. Okay. So what this does is if you go into move, it allows you to select it and to move it. See how its arm is moving all the joints, not just the hand joints. It's the shoulder joint. Just makes it easier to make positions. Okay, I'm going to Control Z to get that back. One thing you'll notice, if you pull it straight to the side, the avatar isn't pulled to the side. Okay, if you want more of a ragdoll effect, you come in here to the channel box, and right now under pinning, it's pin translate is on. So if you click on it and hold down if you click on it, you'll get these other options. You can pin and rotate, or you can also pin all, which is rotation and translate, or you can unpin it. Now once we unpin it, notice what happens. The avatar is dragged along. Now notice the other hand is the translate is still pinned. So it's trying to keep the other hand in the same position that it was before, as if it's holding on to a handrail or something. You can pull it out of position eventually, but if you were just sort of doing that, see how, like, if you were reaching over to grab the handrail and one hand was already on the handrail and you're animating it, that's what the pin translate does. Is it tries to keep the hand at the same spot even if you're turning. Okay. So I usually have this set at 48 frames. Whoops. Should put the 8 in there. There we go. 48. You can have this as long as you want, several hundred. I think that I don't know how long the longest animation is. I think it's either, it used to be like a minute, now I think it's like 10 minutes, but I'm not sure. Okay. So say we're going to, and I'm going to show you there's some slight differences between newer versions of MayaStar, which this is Maya, which this is Maya 2014, and I have my really old version of Maya, which is Maya 8.0, and you would activate it the same exact way. Now there are some slight differences. Instead of solid spherical things, you have these sort of wireframes, and the wrist doesn't have a ball on it, it has a box on it. And I'm going to turn off these same two things. Oops. Now I'm going to, okay. Now the difference is also is that you see pin translate is on, but it is dragging the avatar, just like it was before. So that's a difference between an older and a newer version, is that even with pin translate on it, it will still affect the rest of the avatar. I haven't figured out, and I've looked all over the place to try to figure out the setting that makes that different, but I have not been able to figure that out. Why is this one different than this one in that regards? Looked all over the place. As far as I can tell, they're same identical settings. Could be that in order to make this rig usable over all versions of MayaStar, this rig is actually generated. I had to generate it since it's a student version and I'm not supposed to use it to make money with. I can use it for educational purposes and making videos, but I can't use it to actually create something for MayaStar. So I have to do all the stuff to create MayaStar using 8.0. So this rig here was created by using the skeleton, full body IK, and full body IK. And while this is still available in 64, there's something about this older version of human IK that is maybe causing the problem. Okay, so the human IK is slightly different. Alrighty, so if you don't like this human IK and you want to use a different rigging system. It's very easy. All you have to do is come up here, go to your outliner, come here to Human IK, and just select it and hit delete. So now you just have the skeleton as it is. Let's go in the channel box, and we'll turn off the Bento Angel so you can just see the skeleton. So if you wanted to create your own rig to it that you like better with your own controls instead of those round ball things on it, you can come in here and delete that. And then once you get your own rig set up, if you want it to always open up when you go MayaStar activate, or MayaStar activate avatar Bento rig, all you have to do is after you make your own rig, come here, go File, Save Scene As, go to your Documents, go to your Documents folder, your Maya folder, and then see this is 2014 64-bit. I have 8.0 installed. This is 32-bit, and 8.0 installed 64-bit. And I also had, I guess it's not in there anymore because there it is, Maya Lite 2016 that I rented off of Steam for $30 a month last month, but I didn't renew the subscription. So anyway, so you just go to your version folder, and so in this case it's 2014, and then I go to my scripts folder inside the version folder and look for the binary, and there's the Bento Angel animation rig, and so you just click on that and you click save, and you say, you sure you want to save over this, and you say yes, and that would allow you to have your own rig. If you are really into animation and you do not like the Human IK setup that I have provided for you, you can more than welcome to make your own rig for your own animation purposes or your own animation preferences. Okay, so I'm just going to Control Z to get the animation rig back. Okay, so something you need to be aware of, and you might want to check it. I know by default it's on there, but if it somehow got turned off, it could cause a problem. So switch your thing from most likely to be on polygons to animations. Come in here to Animate, and your set key options. Okay, since I'm using full body IK rigging here, or rigging control rig, you want to make sure that this is turned on. By default it's turned on, and you can either have it set to all manipulators and handles or current manipulator handle. Probably want to leave it at all. This I think will just key on current manipulator handle. You think you want to have it on all, because if the face bones, I haven't been able to come up with a rig for it yet, a control rig to make it easy to open and close the mouth and make certain facial expressions yet. So that's going to be coming out probably in another update of MayaStar sooner or later. I got a lot of other projects that I want to work on, so that's not high priority on the list right now, especially since the Bento bones have not been adopted into the main viewer yet. But you're more than welcome to make your own control rig for the face. So probably want to leave it on all manipulator handles and keyable attributes. Okay, so to make a really quick animation, I'll show you how to make one. Okay, well, let me show you the difference in Maya 8.0. Okay, with Maya 8.0, if we come here to Animate, Set Key, like I have mine set to the Home key. So when I click the home key, that's when it sets a key. A little bit different. Working with these controllers is you've got to come down here to set full body IK keys. You'll notice if you go to the options menu here, there is not the same. See, in newer versions of Maya, they added this option, set full body IK keys. It doesn't have it here. Okay, so in order to keyframe with this, you have to, instead of using the regular set key options or set keys, you have to come here to animate and come here to set full body IKs, and you can set it to a hotkey eventually if you want. I just usually open up the window and you get this. Okay, and I just usually have it set to all in that. And you can set a hotkey so that you don't have to have this window open while you're doing it, but I'll leave it open for now. Okay, so we'll make an animation in each. So let's set this to 48 frames. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick arm animation. First thing you want to do is start with the first frame, so you just click on the first frame, and I'm going to click apply, and you'll notice a little red line appears. That indicates that a keyframe has been selected. And then you come here to the last frame, because we're going to make a loop, so we want it to start and stop on the same position. Okay, we're going to click apply again, and then we'll come to frame 24, and we're just going to grab it, we're going to move it like that, and hit apply again. And now click on frame 1 to go back to frame 1, and now you can either come here and hit the play button to see the animation, or you can click on frame 1 and hold, and click on frame 1 and hold down your mouse button, left mouse button, and you can what they call scrub through the frames, left and right. So you can kind of see what's going on. It's very, very handy. Okay, so we just made a really quick animation. Let's make the same animation on Maya 8.0. We click, we're already set. It's a little easier to see that you're on frame 1 in the older version. There's probably a setting that you can change the color of this so that it's a little bit easier to see. I know it's very difficult to see that it's slightly darker, and it does put the number in white underneath. It's a little easier to see in older versions of Maya. Okay, so we're going to click apply, and you notice it's a little bit more difficult to see, but there is a red line there. Click on frame 48, and as you can see over here, there is that red line. Click apply, come here to frame 24, and this time we'll make her arm go more up, and click apply again. And so we have another animation, a little bit different. Now, you do have an option of turning on auto key. Sometimes they say this doesn't work with full body human IK, but I find it does. I haven't had a problem with it. Now, what this does is it means if you're on a frame and you just move or rotate anything, it'll automatically create a new key right there. So we just created a new key. So it goes up, and comes down, and then goes back. Okay? So it does work. The only thing you have to be aware of is that you have to have at least one frame keyed manually in your animation. You have to have at least one, because it has to have a starting point, because what triggers it is that it's made a change in position. Okay, and right now the only thing that we've affected in the avatar is the arm joints. We haven't made anything else affected in the rest of the skeleton. So when you export your BVH file, the only thing that's going to animate in Second Life is this left arm. BVH files only export out the joints that actually move. It's to help keep the files smaller. If the joint doesn't move, the information for that joint is not exported out. So if you want to make an animation where only one part of the avatar moves, only move that part of the avatar. So that if you have like, which means you could have a walking animation and only an AO with a walking animation as they're walking, and then you want to play an arm animation, this will only affect the arm, and the existing walking animation for the AO that you're already playing will not be affected. I mean, the left arm will be affected, but the legs and the rest of the body will not be affected by your animation playing over it. You do not have to start in the T-pose. That's a common misconception. I believe way back when you had to start with a T-pose. Way back when. But as far as Bento, the way I have set, the way MayaStar is set up is you do not have to start off in the T-pose position when making your animations. So if you want to start off in more of just a relaxed standing pose and make a sitting animation, you could do that. You could start off with a relaxed standing pose and then move, have it animate to the sitting position. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so let's see. So we've made our two animations, and now we're going to export it out. Okay, so I'm going to close this, and like I said, and you can use the same turning on of the auto keyframe, you know, and say we want to animate the elbow. Now you'll notice that all of these have been keyed using this system. So you can come in here to the elbow and come here on frame 30, and you can move the elbow up. And it automatically sets a keyframe. Okay. But you'll notice other parts of the body are starting to move a little bit. And so since they already had keyframes, those will be exported out with the animation. So that's one thing you want to be careful of, is if you only want to be animating one part of the body, just make sure you just move that one part of the body. Okay. And you can also come in here and select a bone and rotate it manually if you really wanted to. You don't have to use these manipulator handles if you don't want to. But they just make it so much easier. Okay, so we want to export out. So you come at your MayaStar, come here to activate MayaStar avatar. So touchy. And then come down here to export animation. Okay, one thing you need to know. Now this is just for Project Bento, not animating with the this is only, what I'm going to tell you is only of a concern when you're animating the Bento skeleton for right now. Eventually I'll have it set up where you don't have to worry about this. And you don't have to worry about what I'm about to tell you for when you're animating either with one of these two. Now, I hope you didn't hear that. I burped a little bit. Okay, so you got your thing opened up, and you're going to try to export out. Well, first thing you need to do is set a path. So I'm just going to set a path to my desktop, and I'm going to select a path to my desktop. So I click on desktop, and I click select folder. Now this has an older, slightly older version of MayaStar 4.5, which I'm glad I didn't update this version yet on this MayaStar 2014. Is on MayaStar 4.5 there's a slight bug, a couple of slight bugs, in one of them I've already fixed. So MayaStar 4.51 is the most current one, and that has the fix for this. But if you're still using MayaStar 4.5, there's this bug in the exporter. And notice how I click desktop, but if you look at the file name and the path here, it doesn't go into the desktop folder, it goes into the user folder, and is going to give the file the name desktop mouth animation 16 BBH. All you have to do to fix that is to put in a forward leaning slash. Now it will save it to the desktop, and now it will save it mouth animation 16 BBH. You can rename it whatever you want, you know, just by highlighting it and typing it in. Just make sure it has .bbh at the end of it. So that's how you set the path if you're using 4.5. If you have 4.51, it automatically puts the slash in there. Okay, the other you don't have to worry, well, I'll go over this real quick. You don't have to worry about root joint. I have it set to automatically select the hip joint instead of the root joint. So it doesn't matter what these two are set on. I just leave it on current because it's automatically going to try to select the hip joint. For some reason, this key range, people have been telling me, have been causing errors. So make sure you select manual. And our animation is going from 1 to 48. You could try 1 to 47 and cut out that last frame. So because it's going to, since it's a loop, it's going to go straight back to 1. So instead of having 2 frames of it at the same time, you could export it out from frame 1 to 47. Now there is a problem with the animation upload window that Linden Lab is looking into, in that when you upload any animation, it takes the first frame and it copies them so that the first 3 frames are actually identical to the first frame, so that frame 2 actually becomes frame 4 when it's playing back. And so you get this kind of weird glitch, and you get this little weird glitch, and you have to compensate by it by not having it, not start at 0, but like 5, you have to change it to a certain percentage. Linden Labs is looking into that, and hopefully they're going to fix that so that doesn't happen anymore, where the first frame is duplicated twice, making the first frame the first 3 frames of the animation. And there's nothing we can do about that in MayaStar. That's just something you have to be aware of. Okay, I usually have it set at all frames, but if you're really doing a really super long animation and you want to make it a smaller file, if you're running into file size limits, you can have it sample the frame on every 2nd or 3rd or 4th or 5th frame. But for now, since it's such a small animation, I have it set to all frames. Okay, I would leave these the way they're set. You can try these others. If you change this from world to object, on the other versions of, let's say on the other versions to animate in MayaStar, these two, there's a little controller down here with little arrows. And if this is set to object, that little controller with the arrows that you use to actually move the avatar around in the animation, like say you're doing a dance animation and they take a couple of steps to the left and they take a couple of steps to the right, you use that arrow manipulator on the floor to move it left and right. And you would not want this to set on object, you want it set at world. Okay. So, so we're ready to export. I'm just going to click apply so I can leave this window open, or you click open and it would export. Now we're going to get an error and I'm going to show you. Click apply. It says error. No object matches name hip. That's because when in MayaStar, for the regular male and female avatars, I have it set so that these actually, what this does is this brings in the regular skeleton and you rig it to it. And then when you click Animate Female, so say you started off with a female avatar, and you made clothes and you rig to it. Now you want to make animations to fit that particular clothes, or you want to make poses to fit for that particular dress or whatever it is, you know, and you want to make very specific pose or animations for your mesh clothing that you've created. Or it could be a sword, you know, if you're making and you want to rig, you made a sword and you want to rig it and you want to make animations for it. So say it was a female with a sword, you would have the female and you would rig your mesh sword to the left hand or the right hand, and then you want to make an animation for it. Or if it's just mesh clothing and you want to make a pose or animations for just it. Instead of having you to have to save your mesh out and save the weights to it and then delete the skeleton like you have to do for the Bento Skeleton right now, I made a second animation skeleton that is imported when you hit Animate Female or Animate Male, and then your regular skeleton that you use to rig to it is constrained to this animation skeleton. And this animation skeleton root is, which is normally the M pelvis in the normal skeleton, is called hip in the animation skeleton, because I'm bringing in a second skeleton into the scene. You cannot have two skeletons with the same bone names. They start to interfere with each other. So the animation skeleton actually has different names than for the bones than the default skeleton does that you rigged your mesh to. And its root is named hip. That's a very long explanation. So when you hit apply, when you're animating to one of these two, the Mel script in the exporter here automatically selects the M, or automatically selects the hip bone that is in the scene. And so that's why we're getting an error with the Bento skeleton. Real easy to fix. And like I said, if you brought your own mesh in here that you rigged with the other skeleton and you want to animate it now, you know, you would quickly do a smooth bind to this animation skeleton, and then you would bring in your weights that you saved, that you exported out, or that you saved when you were rigging, after you rigged to this Bento skeleton. See, we're using this Bento skeleton right now, animation rig. So you notice this has all the regular bones named. All you have to do, as the regular bone names are, all you have to do is come here, double click on it, and all lowercase hip. You just renamed the bone, that one bone, to hip. And because you already had your mesh rigged to this, just changing the bone does not mess up your mesh. You know, so this is what you have to do manually. Once the bones are added to the skeleton, I'll have all this set up to where you don't have to worry about this, and it will be all done behind the scenes. And but for right now, because this is just these bones have not been set yet, they have not been adopted as the official bones yet, and there's probably going to be changes to the bones. It'd be a lot of work to set it up to have two skeletons and all that, and then to have to make changes to that. So for right now, you're going to have to do some things manually. Okay, so so we've renamed this hip. Okay, now we can close this. And now when we click apply, because I already had a BBH named Mouth Animation 16 in there, it's going to say, you know, sure you want to overwrite this, confirm it? I'll say yes. Okay, and now it's done that. So now we can, you log in to Second Life's Audity, the beta grid, and you have to use this viewer, which is the Bento test viewer. And right now this is the current one, but like I said, they make updates and all that, but it's a Second Life project viewer, or Project Bento. Second Life Project Bento is it. And like I said, this is the only one that has the new bones. So come up here to Build, Upload, and then we have, I'm going to leave that open so that I don't have to open it again, Animation. Here's, I'm on my desktop, there's Mouth 16, which we just uploaded. And we click Open. And of course we get an error. Wonderful! We get an error. Not sure why we got an error. It should have worked. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, let's close this and go, and of course, there we go. Export animation. We'll set the path to desktop. Okay, set it to the desktop. Same name. No object matches hip. Oh, got the same error, so we got to fix it. Come in here to pelvis, double click on it, name it hip. Okay. Now apply, export out. Come here, upload animation. Yep, 12 p.m. There we go. Oops. Okay, and so now if we play it, there's the animation. Set this to loop. There we go. So there's the animation. And if we play it here, and there you go. Okay, so the ease in it, and so I set it to loop. I set the priority to 4, which is the highest priority. You can have it ease in and out. That's a half a second. You know. Okay, in. This is from where it starts. Remember, the first three are the first 3 frames are duplicated, or the first frame is duplicated twice, so it's the first 3 frames are the same as the first. So I'm going to put 5%. Okay. And then if I tell this to upload, and then double click on it, I'll play it. There we go. And what you see is what you get. Okay, so, but as you notice, it only affects my right arm. Now, one of the things to be aware of is that I guess this walking animation that I have has a higher priority. And we could have seen what it looked like. It does that twice. If we had changed this to by walking. See, that's it. But the animation, I'm wearing a custom animation. I'm surprised why didn't it override it? Should have overridden it. Unless, the only thing I can think of is that whoever did the walking priority that I'm using an animation override that has a sexy walk, it's called, and its priority is taking over. There must be oh, I know what it is. Okay, if two animations have the same priority, the second animation that is triggered, or the newest animation that is triggered, takes over from the first animation. So when I start to walk, it takes over. But as soon as it stops, the other animation starts to play. I know what would happen if I manually trigger it as I'm walking. Yeah, it happened to stop the other animation. Okay. So, I am going to pause the video here and try to figure out why 2014 why it didn't upload. It should have. And I'm going to pause it, try to figure it out, and I'll get back. Okay, I'm back. I figured it out. There is some sort of bug. It doesn't like when I animate the elbow in 2014, but the elbow animation in 2000 or Maya 8.0 works just fine. So I have no idea why it's not doing it in 2014. It's when I added the animation of the elbow, that it seems to have a problem. Both these settings here and here seem to work just fine. And so, okay, so let's try, okay, I'm going to Control Z back. Okay, I'm going to rename that back to hip. Okay, we don't have any keyframes or anything, so let's just do this arm. And, apply it on frame 1. Come here and apply it on frame 48. Come here to frame 24. And I'm going to make her hand go up like that. And rotate it the wrist a little bit like that. Okay, and apply it so the animation looks like this. Alrighty, and let's export out. Keep your fingers crossed. Okay, this is 1219. 1219. Here we go. Okay, we'll say loop. Ease in 5%. Say hi. 5.5. Upload. There's an animation. We come here, open animation. Let's turn on the angel. And that's exactly what you get. Now, for some reason, if I were to, say, come here to 28 and grab the elbow, or frame 28 and grab the elbow, or let's see, let's do it on frame 28. And then, whoops, so we want to make the elbow come out a little bit. Maybe that's why I don't think the elbow is quite working the way it's supposed to. So we want to rotate the hand like that, which is rotating the whole forearm, just not the wrist. Okay, now let's apply that. Okay, I have a feeling it's going to say it can't do it. See, anytime I touch this elbow, for some reason, it messes up. So I'm going to have to look into that. I just love finding bugs that I was not aware of when I'm making a video. That's so much fun. Okay, so for right now, don't mess with the elbow if you're using a newer version of MayaStar. If you want to animate her moving left and right, let's see if we can't undo that. Okay, so we undid that, so there's no more keyframe there. And if we apply animation, you should be able to get this back. Yeah. Okay, so it works. Yeah, you can stop saying hello. Hello. Okay. If you wanted to move her in 3D space, the way you do it, unless I come up with another error, is select the human IK. And select the human IK, come here to the first frame, and you would key it. And in the last frame, key it. And say you wanted her to go to the left. Oops, should have put it on frame 24. Move it to the left and key it. So now it should look something like that. And apply. Yes. This time I'm hoping this is going to work. Should really have tried this out beforehand. Okay, now this, you actually can see she does move, but this is a very good thing that happened. Remember, this avatar is extremely tiny because that's the default size of the avatar, and that's not the same size of the avatar as it is in Second Life. That's not. When they created when they created the avatar using Maya all those years ago, they accidentally created it really tiny. Second Life is in meters. The default unit measurement of Maya is centimeters. So when they were, but if you notice, if you pick a bone or anything and you come here to the channel box, you can see that XYZ are these. So this looks like it's 1.256. Here, let's do the pelvis or the hip. Don't you just love it when you get weird things like this? It should have told. Okay, let's go here. Outliner, hip. Okay. Don't know why it should have opened up like this. I just love having little surprises like this. Why isn't it showing me everything? It should be showing me a lot more. That's weird. Should have looked like this. Okay, so you notice that the pelvis, this would normally be the M pelvis, is 1.067. If you were to open up the avatar skeleton XML file, you would notice that the hip position, or the M pelvis position, is 1.67 Y up. And that's because they thought they were working in meters in Maya, but they were actually working in centimeters. This is what my theory is. There's nobody left at Linda Lab who was actually there at the time when they were building this. All these people have moved on to bigger and better things, or retired, or what have you. And so the people who are left at Linda Lab have sort of confirmed that it's their suspicion too, that when they created the original avatar, they were working in centimeters, not realizing that they were working in centimeters, thought they were working in meters. And so there was this incongruency between how big the avatar is in Second Life and how big it is in Maya when they created it. So all the files that they give us in the lab is tiny, because this is what they were actually created in. Okay, so this animation here, when we play it, the avatar is actually barely moving. So that when we play it here, it's barely moving. And in fact, so anyway, so that's why you're not getting the correct movement here. But when I have this all worked out, and I'll show you, if we activate female avatar, notice the size of the grid. Notice how small the avatar is. When I go here to animate female, notice how much larger the avatar is compared to the grid. Okay? And if we come here to the outliner, outliner, you'll notice that here's the animation skeleton. Notice it has all different bone names than the regular skeleton. And here's this locator, and it's named avatar skeleton. There's the M pelvis bone. And they're all constrained. They're all constrained to the animation skeleton. And you'll notice there's the same 1.67. This, I just have this setting to go to many more decimal points. But if you were round that off, it would be 1.67. 1.067. Okay. And you would notice that the locator, why is this doing this? Come on, give me all the information. I don't know why this is doing this. There must be a show. There's probably a setting in here to have me show everything, and I'm just missing it because I'm not as familiar with this as I would normally be. Okay. Slightly irritating. Let's do it over here, where I know everything is displaying properly. MayaStar Email. There goes my microphone. Let me clip that here. Okay. So, come on. Female. Okay. Same locator. This is the size of the locator. 39.332. So that's the actual size of the avatar in Second Life. Or the size of the, okay, it's hard to explain. Okay, BVH files are in inches. Second Life standard unit of measurement is centimeter. So there's a difference, so it's because of that difference between inches and inches and centimeters, the conversion. See, when you open up a VV, okay, I have to get into this so much. The default unit, even though it doesn't say it, if you were to open up a VVH file in a word processor, and you would see that you move the avatar so far to the left or so far to the right, you would see that it just says it's moved so many units to the left or to the right. And the units, even though it doesn't say units equals inches in the BVH file, BVH is in inches. In Second Life, the units are meters, and an inch in Second Life is 1 centimeter. So 1 inch equals 1 centimeter, but a centimeter is actually the equivalent of like 2.5 inches or something like that. So I had to figure all this stuff out that you have to convert. So when you're making the BVH file, so that it moves the appropriate amount. So that's why this isn't 100 times bigger. It's 39.33333 bigger. So trust me, I had to do a lot of, I'm not real great at math. I can add, divide. I got as far as geometry. So I know basic algebra, and I got it, and then the one class above that was geometry. So I went as far as geometry, and I don't remember hardly any geometry. I know basic algebra fairly well. But I'm no mathematician by any stretch of the imagination. So anyway, so it took me a while to calculate it out that the avatar actually has to be 39.33 times bigger, so that when you move this far, it actually moves the appropriate amount. So that when we were in here, and we moved it when the avatar was much smaller, it was hardly moving at all. So, so for the Bento Skeleton animation rig, it's actually much, much smaller. And I'll probably update that soon. Once I get the elbow fixed and figure out what's going on with the elbow, I'll add the arrows to the bottom of the screen, and I'll make the avatar 39.3333, whatever it is, bigger, so that when you move the avatar here in the screen, it'll move the correct amount on the screen here. So that's on my to-do list. But I was trying to get this update out so fast that kind of got oversight. You know, I was just trying to, especially since this is just for the beta grid. But I will fix that and figure out what's going on with the elbow for the newer versions of Maya, and get that four thing on the ground, so that you just have to select it. You don't have to come in here and try to select human IK to be able to move it around. And so anyway, I just love finding bugs when I'm making in the middle of a video. So anyway, so yeah, that's the basics of animating for Bento. I will, so for right now, try not to move the avatar, and then I'll get the next update out, soon. And you can continue to try to make animations. But here's, let's see. So here's some of my animations that I've made. For these wings that I've made. Get this animation to play. Come on. Why doesn't this animation want to play? Darn it. It's this animation, but it has a still frame so that when I come to these others, they smoothly blend from one to another. Like that did. These are two different animations. This one, the wings go up more on the back, and then this one. Oh gosh, I didn't mean to hit that one. Okay, and this one they flat more forward and back. I'm cracking myself up. Okay. Anyway, so that was a good one. Alrighty, so that's the basics. I know this went on really long. It's an hour-long video. It's not really the basics, and we haven't quite done. I think that can get you guys started on making animations with the Bento Skeleton. And like I said, I'm going to be making an update real soon. To fix some of these problems that we discovered while I was making this video. So we'll see you guys all in the next video.